Good afternoon all, and welcome to the 2019 American Psychological Convention here in Chicago, Illinois. We have all been delighted today hearing from many different colleagues from around the states and even from around the country. I'm pleased to introduce to you your next guest, Mr. Kenneth Bancroft Clark. Mr. Clark was born July 14, 1914 in the Panama Canal Zone, an unincorporated territory of the United States, to Arthur Bancroft Clark and Miriam Hanson Clark. At just 5 years old, Kenneth moved to New York with his mother and only sister. In high school, Mr. Clark went to a predominantly black school and was learning a trade. His mother saw potential and wanted more for him in his education, so she decided to transfer him to George Washington High School, a predominantly white school at the time, which in the end worked out for his better. After high school, Mr. Clark attended Howard University, a historic and prestige university, where he first studied political science. During his early years there, he worked under the influence of mentor Francis Sumner, the first African-American to receive a doctorate in psychology. After graduating, he later returned to get his master's degree in psychology. After obtaining it, Francis Sumner directed him to Columbia University to then work with another influential mentor, Otto Kleinberg. Mr. Bancroft Clark was the first African-American to earn a PhD in psychology from Columbia University. Mr. Clark then went on to teach at the City College of New York, starting off with only summer sessions. After seeing his work ethic and knowledge, they decided to make Kenneth the first African-American tenured full professor. The dean over at Hampton University took notice to Mr. Clark and asked him to develop a department of psychology on campus. He accepted, started it up, and then found himself now teaching many different courses there. Mr. Clark is most known for his experiment in the 1940s using dolls to study children's attitudes about race. Partnered with his wife, they testified as witnesses in the Briggs versus Elliott case, one of 5 cases that then turned into the Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. His work contributed to the ruling of the Supreme Court, which determined that racial segregation in public education was unconstitutional. Some of Mr. Bancroft Clark's accolades and accomplishments thus far: he was the first African-American appointed to the New York State Board of Regents, the first African-American to be president of the American Psychological Association, today's hosts. He received the Spingarn Model of the NAACP for promoting integration and better race relations, and the Nicholas Murray Butler Silver Medal, the 4 Freedoms Award, and the Presidential Medal of Liberty, all while writing 6 critically acclaimed novels over the years. Mr. Clark is here today to enlighten all of us on his research of the self-image of black children, his findings when he studied the responses of more than 200 black children that were given the choice of a white or brown doll, and lastly, how that tied into the findings in his pivotal role in the Brown versus Board of Education case. It has been an honor to learn about Kenneth and all of his many accomplishments and accolades. He has been very influential to the field of psychology, inspiring many to this day. And I hope he will do the same for you. I'm truly honored at this time, and it is without further ado that I present to you a devoted organizer and developer, a doctrine of psychology, Mr. Kenneth Bancroft Clark.